Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
It's Thursday night in Phoenix, and you know what that means? It's time for another episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Jose.
I'm Brian.
Hey, welcome back again for a third time to Brian.
Oh, hat trick.
Educating the gentleman on toad venom earlier.
Yeah, that's why we're starting late, because we got an education in toad venom.
So tonight I will be going and toad searching.
Yes, we're going to go on a toad hunting spree. Yeah, it's going to be a real long night. Hunt them toads.
It'll just seem long.
Them Sonoran desert toads.
And if you guys have one, you can ship it to Brian.
Yeah. Ship it to Absolutely Geek Podcast at P.O. Box. No, I'm just kidding. I'm too poor to afford a P.O. Box. Are you kidding? I don't even like to check my own mail at all.
I was just about to say that. I forget to check the mail half the week.
Yep. I mean, me too. I'll be like, when was the last time I checked mail? Oh, like 3-4 weeks ago? Oh, shit.
3-4 weeks ago.
Bill's all piled up.
Do you have a mailbox, or do you have one of those community mailboxes?
It's one of those community mailboxes, and I don't really want to get to know my neighbors, so I don't want to go walking out there and be like, "Hi, neighbor."
Hey, neighbor.
If I had a regular mailbox, I'd check it every day. But because I have those stupid community ones, I'm like, there's probably nothing in there I need.
Yeah, I didn't have those until I moved out here. Back home, they had just regular mailboxes attached to your house or at the end of the driveway.
That's what I had growing up. I don't know. These new neighborhoods, they started doing that. It's silly.
I'm across the street from mine, so I check it every day. But I'm always expecting stuff, so I'm always expecting comics in the mail.
Expecting a new package every day, huh?
Yep.
I've trained my postal person to just drop those off at the door.
But that's how people steal, and that's when you get like crazy-eyed Wanda who just wanders up and jacks your package and walks away.
Have you guys seen those like they're like little boxes you can buy that this guy's selling online, and it looks like a package, and then when you pick it up, it's got like this contraption in it that shoots off a blank shotgun shell. So when the people try to pick it up, it acts like it's exploding, and these people freak out. So I was thinking about getting one of those if that ever happened, but I've never had anybody steal anything that I know of.
That key word that you know of. You could have bought you could have bought like an awesome book and just never got it because someone jacked it off your porch.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Kyle sits out there and waits for the mailman just to steal your stuff.
I do with my binoculars.
Yeah. Get a little. Yep.
I sneak up and I take it.
Yep. He walks up. I'm Brian.
I will sign for that book. I mean, package.
Yeah. He has a long hair and a ponytail. Or he's already got long hair. He doesn't even need that. But
exactly.
I just put a flannel shirt on.
Yep. Just puts a checkered shirt on. I'm Brian. I think we should start off the show this week by talking about the big piece of news that happened. The comic world pretty much lost a legend in the passing of Steve Ditko.
Yep.
Who? No, I'm just playing.
Who? Don't tell me who. Gee, I'm a Spider-Man fan. Who?
Probably got to be the second greatest artist in comic book history, right? Or creator. Yep. I put him above Stan Lee. I think it goes Kirby, Ditko, and then Stan Lee.
He very much falls into that. I don't know. Does he though? I've always kind of looked at Ditko as the guy who kind of made it out of that slump of like Stan Lee kind of screwed over Kirby, and then you had Bill Finger who got screwed over
by Kane,
and Ditko kind of seemed to be the one that made it out of that situation.
Well, here's the thing: like he didn't make it out unscathed, I don't think, because he basically became a hermit. I mean, the guy wouldn't do any. I mean, it was impossible to, like, if you ever seen something signed by Ditko, snag that up. That's almost might be better than a Kirby autograph at this point, just because of how rare he actually went out and you know, dealt with comic fans.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think he ever
people
did a con that I can think of in the past at least 10, 20 years.
You know what most people did to get his autograph?
Sent him shit at his house.
Yeah, they wrote him a letter, and they would write him a letter, and they would ask him a few questions. Then he would send the letter back.
Yeah,
and at the bottom of it, he'd sign it, and that's what a lot of people did to get his autograph.
yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do, because for a while I was watching all these people who were getting, you know, and it would take a few months.
I think he caught on though.
I think he did too, because it slowed way down. Like,
Yeah.
for a while, for a period of time, it was like everybody seemed like they were getting like a letter in the mail for like probably like a span of like 3 months. You were seeing these nonstop letters, and then they like after that it like trickled. Like once in a while you see someone post their Ditko letter. But it was cool. I mean, like he like thought out and like sat and like wrote you back a letter, and then you know what I mean? I thought that was cool.
Yeah, but it wasn't anything like crazy. It was like 4 sentences max, right?
No, some of the stuff was long, and depending on just what you wrote to him.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
if you were quick, if you were just like, what do you think of this? He would, you know, it would be like a 2 or 3 sentences. But I seen some people, man, they got a page letter back from him. I think it just depended on topic.
Yeah, he's probably in my opinion, he's the best early Spider-Man artist. I don't think there's any in those days, you know, like pre-70 maybe, pre-75. That's better than Ditko.
No, I mean he co-created Spider-Man. You can't.
Yeah, but artist wise, you know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah.
Spider-Man until other than Ditko, I think there's very few people until like Romita, right? Yeah. I think Romita started doing them, and like Daredevil 16 or something was the first time that Romita did them. But until that, like most of that Spider-Man art was garbage unless Ditko did it. And yeah, he did most of the early stuff, but there was some other stuff that was just garbage unless he did it. So,
what do you mean, no, Jose?
No, I said
no. That's wrong.
You are incorrect, sir.
And you're right. You're right. He was part of that crew that just. I mean, there's a few names out there where they had their hands in all those great concoctions of superheroes that just, you know, knocked it out of the park. And Ditko and Kirby were the team. Like, I consider Ditko and Kirby to be the team more than Kirby and Lee. You know what I mean? Just because of, I think how much. I don't know. I look at Stan Lee a little bit different. I look at him like the whole Bob Kane type role rather than the Bill Finger type role. But I don't know. I know there's a lot of people out there that says he gets a bad rap when it comes to that. But
well, I mean, if you watch that Robert Kirkman's History of Comics, they kind of go into the Stan Lee and Kirby situation, and I mean those two didn't like each other, and you kind of get the feeling that Ditko was in the very much in the same situation, and it wasn't as out and as well known as the Kirby situation. But I mean, Ditko left Marvel. He went to he co-created Spider-Man and Doctor Strange from Marvel. Then he went to DC and he created Question, and he created Squirrel Girl.
He created all of Charlton's characters, right? Like those main characters.
So, I mean, he did his rounds and then eventually came back to Marvel. And then when he came back to Marvel, he kind of got the short end of the stick and was like, yeah, well, welcome back. You're going to be on, you know, drawing shit now.
Oh, he created Hawk and Dove?
I mean, I think the difference with the Stan Lee situation is he got involved with guys that were known for not being quiet, I guess, because, you know, Kirby never came off as a quiet person.
He didn't want the limelight,
right? But you know, they never, you never seen them guys go the way of like Bill Finger, who died and nobody really knew who he was until people started speaking up for him. You know? Yeah,
I think I don't know how many people out there know the history, you know, that well that we're talking about, but if any of you guys get a chance, there's that are listening, get a chance. There's I know Matt's talked probably about this podcast a couple of times, but that the whole Kevin Smith Fat Man on Batman, there's some interviews on there, especially the shows he does with Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil. And Neil Adams seems to be that guy, that person that really brought all that out into the open and really helped comic book creators become relevant, other than just working in a like a boiler room drawing stuff and really not getting paid for their creations. It took Neil Adams to go, hey, Siegel and Schuster didn't get paid, Kirby didn't get paid, Ditko, Bill Finger, da, 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 da. Yeah, he said, you know what, I'm done with this, and he probably spent a good 3 years, going to talking to these old school, creators that basically created the form, and these, there's nothing more Americana than Superman and Captain America. So that weren't getting paid. And Neil, if you get a chance, those podcasts are amazing. So
there's a really good also to kind of top on that. There's a really good documentary. I don't know if it's still on it. It was on Hulu, called Batman and Bill. And it was all about the creation of Batman and the whole Bill Finger situation with everything that went on with that, and how he pretty much died on a couch, broke and penniless.
Yep. And
he had absolutely no rights. And his I think grandkids, or nieces and nephews or something along those lines, are the ones who are fighting for him to get the recognition he deserved as a creator of as a co-creator of Batman. I mean, believe what you want. I firmly am in the stance that Bill Finger 100% is responsible for Batman.
Oh yeah. Well, here's a funny story. I think I've told this to you guys before, but I can't remember which con it was. It was probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Steranko came, and I'm a big
3 years ago.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of creator first, so I really search out those first times these creators ever put their pen to art and got published, or first time a writer ever got published. And so when Steranko came, I had his first stuff, which were, I want to say it was E-Man, and it has a little hand on the cover, and he only drew the hand, which is kind of crazy, which he told me about. But Steranko is absolutely, he'll talk about that stuff, and he'll sit there and he'll hold court. So he decided, I went to go get his signature, and he's like, some guy came over, and he had like one of those big, huge, massive hardcover books of the Marvel creators, and he wanted Steranko to sign it, and in that book he had all the creators signed it, and something came up about Bob Kane, and Steranko just goes, "You want me to tell you a story about Bob Kane?" And me and this one guy are like, "Yeah, hell yeah." So Steranko goes, "None of us like Bob Kane. The guy was a piece of shit. He stole everything from Bill Finger, and when DC decided to make him, their quote unquote head of DC, he was just a puppet, and they would put him in an office up there, and just to keep him away from everybody, because all he did was act like he was this hot shit." And we're just sitting there going, "Oh my God." And Steranko, just looking at him, you're like, this guy's awesome. He's in a really nice suit. He looks like an old school gangster, John Gotti.
He does really nice.
Yeah, and he is just, he's done to the T, and he's just holding court with like 4 of us standing there, and he's telling us how nobody liked Kane, and Kane would show up at these events where all the artists and creators would go, and it was just for the artists. It wasn't like a con or anything back then. These creators would kind of get together and just hang out, and Kane would show up and just make a fool of himself and just act like a pompous ass. So I guess one time he showed up, and Steranko wasn't having it. And Steranko literally said to us, he goes, "You ever heard that expression, bitch slap?" He goes, "I walked up to Bob Kane, looked at him in the face, and said, 'Get the fuck out of here,' and bitch slapped him right in front of everybody." And it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just heard that. So another one, if you guys ever get a chance, talk to Jim Steranko, just anything you can.
Cool.
Yeah, he'll just sit there and hold court. That's a perfect example of what Matt was talking about, the whole Bill Finger thing. it's obvious none of the guys, they all knew it back then. And that was in the, early 70s. If they all knew it back then that family was definitely deserving of some money.
Yeah, and it's sad that it took them until Batman v Superman to finally get his name on attached to a Batman property.
Yep.
So it's I mean, it's a good thing that Ditko didn't actually get that screw job. He got what he at least has been recognized as the co-creator of Spider-Man through all his years, and he's like you were saying, he became a hermit. He was very kept to himself, and still I don't think till the day he died anybody other than Stan Lee, and I don't even know if Stan Lee knows why he decided to finally leave Marvel Comics, but I kind of have a feeling it had to do around the same situation as it's kind of the reason why Kirby left, and he just didn't want to deal with Stan Lee.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is. I mean, most times when people are like that, they don't really single someone out. You know what I mean? They're kind of like that to all. You know what I mean? I don't think it was favored more towards one person than another. When you're kind of egotistic in a sense, you're not going to just single one person out.
And I mean, his legend is tied to Spider-Man, but I mean, like you said, he gave us Doctor Strange, and then he went into DC and he created the Question and Hawk and Dove, and he created a Blue Beetle, and
all that stuff was Charlton though, and DC bought it. So I think he went out on his own with those early creators and said they kind of tried to do the whole image thing. We're gonna do stuff away from the big two, and then they did that through Charlton, and then DC bought the Charlton rights after they created all that stuff. But you're right, he did. Those characters were created by Ditko.
So I mean, it's a sad day when we lose a legend in this community.
Like that.
Stan Lee should have shared more of the souls of nerds with him.
Well, that kind of, I was going to ask you guys what you think about that. Do you think that maybe he saw some of the bullshit that was going on and was just like, that's the reason why you really didn't hear from him at all towards the last 5 years, because he kind of saw the hijinks that was going on and was like, this is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, are you talking like the Stan Lee hijinks?
Yeah, even there's some other stuff that's kind of been going on, craziness within this industry. The whole Rob Liefeld hijinks. A lot of people do not like Rob Liefeld, and I think the only reason why he's gotten a little bit of leeway on that lately is because of the whole Deadpool craziness, and even he really didn't. I mean, that's almost can be kind of like a whole Bill Finger, Bob Kane type thing if you think about it, because from what I've heard, Fabian. Nice. How do you say his name? I'm gonna butcher it. Nacesia, something like that. Yeah, he was kind of the main guy that created him, and But anyway, so he probably kind of looked at that all the ridiculousness and was like, I want no part of that.
I'm a firm believer that in the comic book industry, if you disagree with me, by all means, speak up. The comic book industry, I think the credit goes to the person, not the idea man, but it's the person who puts pen to paper to create that character.
Who executed it.
Right, correct.
I think
that's why I put Bill Finger over when it comes to Batman, because he's the one that created the character. He came up with the Batman.
90% of it, yeah.
I think it kind of takes two to tango. You got someone who has a vision, but then you've got someone who's putting that vision for the world to see. I think I just think if you're working as a team, the team should have the credit.
I think that you're both kind of right, and at least my opinion is, back in the day, I like in the pre-70s, I would side more with the artist, just because at least back then, when they didn't really have anything to like look on, like if you look at like Deadpool, a lot of people, well, it's obvious Deadpool is a ripoff of Deathstroke. Slade Wilson, Wade Wilson, the swords, the outfit, everything. So Rob Liefeld was mainly the artist on that, where he obvious that he totally just swiped it from Deathstroke.
Oh, and he lies. He'll lie through his teeth till he's blue in the face that that's not true.
Yeah, and Nicieza totally should get more credit because he gave him his backstory. Maybe even more than that. Was it Joe Casey that did most of the run on that 90 issue run or 70 issue run that basically gave Deadpool his whole everything about him breaking the fourth wall and his being a comedian more than because he wasn't really like that in New Mutants. He became more like Deadpool
He was more serious.
Yeah, he became more like Deadpool in that Joe Casey. I think it was Joe Casey. Was it Joe Casey? Is it his name? Anyways, like Ed McGuinness did some of the art. Anyways, but back in before the where you had something to rip off, the artists or that's why I give Kirby more credit than Lee. Lee kind of was just throwing stuff at the wall hoping to stick, whereas Kirby's art really, the Hulk,
life.
All those characters are so original, and the first thing you see is what they look like, right? And what makes them more in depth and gives you that love for him. Like, people love Batman so much because of who he is and the really dark and brooding and stuff. But a lot of people, you as kids, you see that character and you go, that's cool, So it's I think it's kind of changed, but it's crazy how that behind the scenes stuff works.
Well, I mean, you still got Stan Lee who tries to take credit for Captain America, and Captain America was used way before Stan Lee even was involved with Marvel. He was used as World War II propaganda.
Yeah, that was Ditko and Kirby 100%, right?
And then
Joe Simon and Kirby.
Yeah, and then here comes a fresh-faced Stan Lee who just gets hired into Timely before it becomes Marvel, and he's like, oh, and then
the third issue, I think, of Captain America.
Yeah. So he gets credit for Captain America when Captain America wasn't even his.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Joe Simon is unless you're talking to industry people, Joe Simon's the forgotten, face, right? Because it's all when people that kind of know that history, you always think Simon and Kirby. I don't think Kirby, when I hear Jack Kirby's name, I don't think of Stan Lee. I think of Joe Simon and Kirby, right? Because they were the originals. They were the Timely guys. They were the, back when, all those guys were really in that boiler room, before Marvel and creating those characters. So yeah, you're right. It's kind of weird.
And a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people, especially newer fans, if you haven't been into this fandom long, understand like how crooked or how really like backstabby comics were back in the day. I mean, you had people like Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster who created Superman, and they created the first superhero, and they sold the rights away for a little bit of money, and they kind of got screwed over.
Yeah, not kinda.
And
right.
What was it, Joe? I can't remember if it was Schuster or Siegel who went broke, pretty much like trying to sue everybody he could to get the rights back.
And one of them couldn't afford a ticket to even go see the Christopher Reeve movie, and Neil Adams had to pull when this harkens back to that Fat Man on Batman. That podcast was so amazing, and when you hear Neil Adams say, "I went to," I can't remember if it was Siegel or Schuster. One of them was kind of a little bit more like Stan Lee, where he just kind of took credit for stuff that the other guy did. I can't remember which one it was, like you were saying, Matt, but he went to go grab one of them. He said he walked in, he was in a studio apartment the size of a washroom that only had a cot in it, and he literally didn't have the 50 cents to pay for the ticket to go see Superman. And the worst part, Warner Brothers, whoever did that Superman movie, didn't even bother to ask him, hey, you're the creator, we're going to bring you to the red carpet, or send him a free ticket. So Neil Adams bought his ticket to see that movie because he was so broke he didn't have it. And I think that was the moment where Neil Adams went, this is wrong.
That's insane to even think about, though.
They signed everything away. Like, they signed everything away. They had no claim to that character anymore. And DC wasn't even going to... It fought for years to not acknowledge them.
Yep.
And it really took a lot of back and forth well past their time, and their families keeping their fight for them to even get a stake in
some recognition.
Yeah, and recognition in creating one of the all-time most recognizable superheroes next to Batman.
It's
Be
crazy though,
superhero.
creating that and then just being just a big old shit being put on you. I mean, that just sucks.
Yeah.
Just to even like it's even hard to wrap your head around. Like, why would even people do that? You know what I mean? Like,
He should have been drowning in pussy.
And I think and they didn't
beating off with a stick.
Yeah. Superman stick.
and I think that's why you kind of saw. I think that's why you kind of saw that with Ditko and Kirby, where they probably saw what was going on. Everyone knew what was going on with Schuster and Siegel, and they were like, "You were not going to go out like that. Like we're going to get what's ours, or we're going to leave." Like they weren't afraid to leave the all powerful Stan Lee and Marvel. They both kind of toured around a little bit before their career ended, and now you even see that today with Brian Michael Bendis jumping ship from Marvel, longtime Marvel writer. Now he's signed exclusively with DC. Like you have all these big names signing exclusively now because you don't know what's going on in the background, but it's still, even to this day, I don't think the artists get, well, we know the artists don't get the recognition they deserve as much as they should, because they don't even get health insurance or anything like that. They have to have that heroes fund to pay for stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely for the old artists. That's why like people like George Perez and a couple of the other guys are really cool, because they go to these cons and they do their, George Perez does his sketches for like what $5 or $20 he's charging for a sketch, and all of it goes into the Heroes Con thing, and that's his whole thing. And then when you ask him, I remember me and Kyle were there and asked him one time, like are you making money off the whole Teen Titans thing? And he's like, oh yeah. I'm making so much money off of it. It's unreal. That's why I do everything for the Heroes Con or the Heroes Fund and
Initiative.
The initiative. And that's the reason why, is because people like Neil Adams and whoever said this is wrong. And they got to a point where they had to give these guys, a percentage of the money based on the characters they create.
Because remember, I asked him, and he gave me he said it's February, because remember that's when the Amazing Con was.
Yeah.
He said it's February, and he gave me a dollar amount, and remember it was
like
insane.
200,000 or something. And he's not gonna have to pay any of his bills for the rest of the year because of the money he's making off Teen Titans.
Yeah, he said by February he had already made all that money. He said he didn't even. That's crazy.
And he only goes to the cons just to interact with the fans. So
he's such a cool dude.
Yeah, he's so much fun in person.
It's really sad that he got political, though.
You still even see that, like, even to this day. Like, I think didn't Tony Moore have to sue Robert Kirkman and AMC to get rights to the Walking Dead TV show?
Yeah,
I mean, he was there from the beginning. He helped create it. Why, No,
I think the suing happened before the show. So once. Because his name's always been affiliated with the show, but I think he had to sue prior to it coming out to make sure all that happened.
Yeah, I think that's where the rift started, right? Because they really fell off pretty early.
Yeah.
Once that book became, the number one selling non-Marvel or DC title, I mean, by that time he was long gone. I mean, he wasn't even doing the covers anymore. So I think that was probably the point where he had to get some of that. Say, hey, what's going on here?
Where's my fucking Walking Dead cheddar?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you would think, man, like Kirkman and Moore, and a lot of these teams, like they go through a lot of shit together to work their way up to this point. You think that I wonder what happens, and because it's always one person over the other that goes. I know it's money, but you're like, what I mean? Like. This conversation had to have come up at least once while you guys are sitting there plotting these, these storylines, and you're building this, you're just two unknowns trying to build up to create something. You got to think, that's never going to be us. We're not going to do that. We're going to stay to our, and then it doesn't happen. I wonder what it is. I know it's money, but it's just like, man, like I just can't imagine being in that situation where like, you're finding like, you know what? I don't want to fucking share.
It's really crazy. It is. But, that's why I think that having some of these artists on those podcasts talking about those moments is so important. At least I could listen to that shit all day.
Well, I think the more that people know.
Wasn't it Wu-Tang who said it best? Money rules everything around me.
Yep. Kareem.
So, and I think that's exactly what it was. It's when what you're describing, Kyle, it's your buddies. Oh, that'll never happen to us. We'll never lose touch with each other. We'll never let everything get big. And then when the dollars start rolling in and people start getting credit, it's like, all right, well, where does the credit go? Who's the idea man? Who feels like they're more important than the other person? Who feels like they should be getting the bigger chunk of the pie?
I mean, even to the point where you wedge somebody out of the pie, where you decide you're going to take the entire pie. You know what I mean? Like you start this venture and you're like, okay, it's us, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I want this apple pie to myself. I don't know, just because you sit there as a team and you like, and you work and you work and you try and you're pedaling and you're doing your thing and you guys are together all the time trying to make this work. And all, I don't know, like my mind doesn't work like that. Like I don't even think getting that far, I don't even think I could do that to somebody, especially when I've been side by side in the trenches, fucking trying to make this become something. I don't think I can go piss off.
Maybe it was an Amy. An Amy walked into their lives.
You and I have had this conversation about this very show, and Kellen. You and I have had this conversation many times. Like I still, like, even on the website, I credit Kellen for being a creator of the show because he helped me create this, but he's no longer here. And you've kind of said to me many times, why do you give him that credit? He's no longer here. He left. It's game over for him.
Like, I understand, like, he gets the credit, but like, like, even like I was talking about the website, why put him on the website? It's been, when was the last show that he's been on? It's been,
yeah.
Like maybe like an asterisk or a footnote, but I don't think he deserves like, and it would be different if he was still here. I wouldn't have that mentality towards it. But my thing is I think it's different between like working at it and trying, and we've built it up, and then you work someone out, and then you don't give them credit. But if you walk away from something, then I get that you should get a credit, a footnote, an asterisk, something, but to constantly be considered.
Tony Moore could have walked away from it. We don't know.
But he didn't
know that.
Like in this,
he could have.
You're right. He could have. But like with this show, like I give him that credit because I feel like it's deserved. I don't want to be that guy, so I give him that credit because rightfully so, he came in and he helped me start this. But he's not here anymore. So if you want to ask me who do I credit for the success of the show, and who do I credit for? Yeah, Brian. Who do I credit for helping me build the show and bringing it to where it is now? The credit goes to you and Jose. That credit doesn't go to him. So if we were to start making hand over fist money or making the point where we're making money to do this professionally without,
Kellen would
our
sue
job.
us. I could feel it.
He can't. He would have nothing to.
He would be part of the show then.
All of a sudden he'd be back. Hey guys, what's up?
Yeah, right. He'd be all up in it. But like I'm saying, he wouldn't get any of that because he wasn't part of. He was part of the initial, but he wasn't part of what it is now. Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of little things that go into those types of situations. That's the thing that we all know.
He always deserves that credit of creator and founder.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Just like they always, every Batman, book you open, it says created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Or every Superman book you open, it says created by Siegel and Schuster. So it's always they have to do that now, or they look like assholes. So
I just think his picture should be smaller on the website.
I'll make it like a thumbnail for you.
There you go. Perfect. So if you click on it, it'll get bigger.
There you go.
But it's just something you kind of just pass by. You think it's an ad.
Jeez.
I'm not trying to Bill Finger anybody. You know what I'm saying?
No, Kellen deserves all the credit.
No.
I mean, he sat in a hot ass fucking master bedroom closet and recorded.
High-end gummy bears.
Yep.
I don't think that show will ever get released, man.
Oh, I think it didn't get out. I think it got put out.
Did it get put out?
Yeah,
I
I put it
remember.
out.
Okay. That was crazy, man. I didn't think it was gonna get that nuts. Those were strong.
You just got nuts.
Yeah.
You went
I
from
took
0 to 60.
Yeah, well, it's because I didn't take half of one. I took 3 of them. Go hard or go home, right?
That shit was that dude. Remember that? There was like 5. Was there like 5 of us in there that night?
I mean, I put an episode out where Jose threw up, so I mean, why wouldn't I put
Still
an
the
episode
best.
out where you're high on gummy bears? So
Oh man, how you feeling, Jose? You got any crazy reactions lately?
Just 2 weeks ago, on 4th of July, that weekend.
Yeah, that's
I
that's
just
why
got-
I'm asking.
That's really the only thing. Like today, my right eye started swelling up a little bit.
That's called allergies, Jose.
Mm.
It's from the dust. It happens to everyone.
But other than that, nothing else.
Good.
I'm going to see my rheumatologist tomorrow. So we're going to see, what's going on with that.
Good.
With all these allergies stuff.
For all you guys who are listening, Jose is actually 72.
yeah.
No, that's what I feel like now.
Speaking of that, fucking Stan Lee, man.
He
So,
sounds like shit.
Apparently, this Pow entertainment situation is found some sort of end, and I think after he got appointed a new caretaker and a new head of his fortune or his whatever estate, it's kind of starting to turn things around for him because at least he finally dropped the lawsuit against Power Entertainment, and I guess they came to some kind of conclusion where now he's involved with all of his social media stuff, and they released a post today, clearly edited. You can see the jump cut in it. It's clearly an edited post, but man, he looks terrible.
He sounds terrible.
He sounds terrible, and then he makes a joke about being 78 years old. And I'm like, I don't know if this man actually believes that he's 78 years old or if he's just like delusional. Because he runs with it. He's in his 90s. He's not in his 70s. Because he's like 78.
Like 30 years ago
he's
for
like,
him.
I feel way older at 78 than I did at 75. And I'm like, are you serious right now?
Do you think that he actually just made that was a mistake?
I don't know if it was a mistake or if it was his attempt at a joke. But like, he was like, he's all kind of like slumped over and he's like, oh, true believers, it's me, Stanley. I hope you haven't forgotten about me. And it's
Excelsior sounds like a...
Yeah, he sounds like he's like gonna croak over. He sounds like he smoked like 40 packs a day. I don't even think the real Stanley is alive anymore at this point. I think that like he's like all coked up. Yeah, I think like they coke him up to put him in front of the camera. He doesn't know what the hell's going on.
They give him like an adrenaline shot.
Yeah, right. The blood of nerds or something. Because it's just every time, like, there's times you see him, and I guess it just has to do with old age where he looks good and spry. But ever since like the sexual harassment allegations came out, he's looked like his life is over.
I think that people don't realize like that war that he's fighting right now isn't just with people that he doesn't care about. So there's family members in that war. There's people that basically are family members, just not blood. That's probably taking a toll on him. And then there's
in the middle of it.
Exactly. So that's
and the Grim Reaper staring at him.
Yeah, that's scary shit. And he doesn't have his wife anymore.
The Grim Reaper keeps tapping his watch.
I mean, he's been the #1 pick on Kyle's death pool for what, 5 years now?
Motherfucker won't die.
He sucks the blood of nerds. And I think we're starting to see though, like how much his wife really played a role in his situation and seeing how much she really kept everyone at bay. I think she was definitely the sharper of the two, and she kind of kept the reins tight on what was going on with him. And that once she died, man, it was, I thought for sure with how close they were, and their love story, like they have a beautiful story of how they met and got married, and like their relationship history is absolutely like storybook type stuff. But just once she died, man, I thought for sure. I said 3 months, and he's gone, because that's once you lose something like that. Yeah. Once
right?
you lose something like that, it's hard to recover from. And I mean, he did it, but he's been in and out of the hospital, and then the allegations of sexual assault, and then suing everybody, and people stealing his blood to sign comics. And it's just like the saga just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And then this whole POW Entertainment thing where they sold the company out from underneath him, he didn't know about it. And now all of a sudden it's like, oops, I guess I did know about it. Like I don't understand what's going on. So obviously there's more to the story that's not coming out, but it's good to see that at least got somewhat situated, and things are getting a little bit back to normal for him, and he's not doing things all crazy and willy-nilly, and I think that's what it was. I think people were just doping him up or giving him too many pills or something, and to where they could manipulate the shit out of him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's a cash cow like no other right now. I mean,
That's what me and Matt are too.
Cash cows.
Yeah.
you think about some of the stories that people are talking about when they're signing. He's over there signing his books. I would never send a Captain America, 1 or whatever they're selling, or Captain America 3, or sending over an X-Men #1 or whatever to have him signed and just scribble on at this point, because it's all he's doing. It doesn't even look like a signature anymore. So
No, it doesn't. I have 2 books. I have a Spider-Man book. Was it Spider-Man? I think I'm gonna sign Spider-Man 700 just because it just came out, and I was at his Stanley Kamikaze, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get a Stanley autograph. It was only $60. I'm gonna get it while I can. And then I got him to sign 121. In my 700, the signature looks flawless. It looks like a Stan Lee. And then 121 a couple of years ago when he's here in Phoenix, it's all like scribbled on. Like it's like his handler's guide where his hand goes, and then he just scribbles.
Yep.
At some point, they're just gonna have a machine that mimics his signature, and he's just gonna put his hand in it and go.
Sad.
Or you're gonna walk up and pay $200 for a Stan Lee autograph, and they're just gonna pull out a stamp, and he's just gonna start stamping your books.
They're gonna lift his arm up and drop it.
Yeah.
Kind of like the chicken that used to drink water.
Right. But
The
headless chicken.
No, it's the plastic chicken.
Like
He
remember
has
that
water in
episode
his
of The
bottom.
Simpsons?
Oh,
Homer
yeah.
figured it out, and all he had to do was just push that one key, and he left, and he got real fat, and he had to wear a muumuu because he had the chicken that drinks water clicking the button for him to do his job. And then that one time where he had to push a different button, he wasn't there, and it clicked meltdown,
Yeah.
and he had to go and It's gonna be something like that.
But yeah, it's sad to see a legend like that pass, but we're getting to that point where there's not very many comic book legends left alive.
Nope.
So,
No, they're all becoming the comic book creators that we grew up with instead of the creators, right?
right.
The real creators with a capital C.
Yeah. Before it was cool to be superheroes, and then everyone went to westerns, and yeah. But it stinks. Like it's hard to, pay homage. How do you really pay homage to a man like Steve Ditko nowadays? Go read some old Spider-Man. Go see if you can find some old Spider-Man and read some old Ditko Spider-Mans. Like it's sad that he shut himself off and spent a lot of his life in obscurity, but maybe that's what made him happy.
Did it for a reason.
Yeah. Reason
Whatever
we'll never
floats your
know.
boat. If that made you happy, then do it.
But we gotta move on here. We'll keep on the topic Spider-Man though. This week we had the first issue of the new Spider-Man creative team come out with Ryan Otley and what's his name? Something Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Spencer.
Nick Spencer. And I liked it. I liked it a lot.
It was just nice not having Slot write it.
Yes.
Mhm.
It seems like they're finally going to
Started on the right foot.
well, not just that, but they're going to undo all of the horridness that came along with One More Day.
Mhm.
Thank
And
God.
They're going to undo all of the Peter, Mary Jane stuff finally. Stuff that Dan Slott teased that he was going to do and never actually fulfilled or carried out.
Blue balls it.
Yeah. But It was a big issue. I like the story. I'm a little on the fence about Otley's art. It was a little too cartoony for me, and I like Ryan Otley as an artist, so hopefully that was just a one-off and it gets better going forward. But I really liked it, and like I said, I'm glad that they're taking the steps to undo the horrid disaster that was One More Day.
I saw a couple really cool covers. I think that they were maybe San Diego Comic-Con covers by Mark Brooks. Did you guys get a chance to see those?
No, I haven't.
It's Peter and Mary Jane on the cover. They're just kind of like embracing. Those are really gorgeous covers, and I guess they didn't want to release it too early and leak it. But when I saw that, I was really happy to know that they were ending all that bullshit. Mary Jane should always kind of be part of Peter's life, right? I mean, that's like a Batman and Robin, Superman and Lois. There's no reason to take that out.
No.
Yeah. Nope.
I mean, what did you think overall of the first issue, though?
I'm excited for the series. Like, it was nice to have a new, fresh voice taking over Peter Parker, and I liked how he kind of went back to. It feels like he laid out all of Dan Slott's time on Spider-Man. He was like, all right, what did he do good in the last few years that fans were really, really keyed in on? And the answer was Superior Spider-Man. So this issue has a lot of undertones and callbacks to Superior Spider-Man. Like at the beginning of it, Peter Parker gets, he's with the Kingpin is now the mayor of New York, and he's trying to pretty much buy Spider-Man, and he's like, I'm going to crush him by taking away everything that is important to him in his reputation.
I like that. Like he has a whole different plan for other superheroes, but Spider-Man, he's got an agenda.
Right.
Like he's got him singled out. And I thought that, like, I like that he's trying to give him the key to the city, and Spider-Man was like, oh, I can unlock all kinds of doors. And he was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm not this. No. And he like takes off out the window. Like, I thought that was actually kind of cool.
And I like that they played, like, Dan Slott spent a lot of time setting up Peter Parker for more. He was the head of Parker Industries, and then when Otto took him over, he got him his degree, and he basically made him finish school and got him his degree. And I like that it's calling back to that, where it's ousting him now, and he's being accused of plagiarizing a paper by Otto Octavius when it was actually Otto Octavius in Peter's body that did it. And he's like trying to explain that to everybody, and like nobody's believing him, and like his aunt is disappointed in him, and like all of his relationships are now in a rocky state. And I just like how it's calling back to that, and it's bringing up stuff that fans connected with and enjoyed, and it's kind of rehashing the Spider-Man story and revisiting it, and you get to see a little bit of Mysterio in it, and then you got a new villain at the end of the book that nobody knows who it is yet. So I think this book had a little bit of everything.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm just you know what? I'm just gonna be happy just to start reading Spider-Man again. It's just gonna be nice to read Amazing, because I haven't read it in so long. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just nice to have that back on my pull list.
Yeah, it's your go-to. That's your guys' go-to characters. That's...
Like it just feels right again. Just having that, you know what I mean? Like I went to get my books on Wednesday, and the Amazing Spider-Man was part of it.
Yeah,
and I found that 1 in 50 cover, Matt.
Did you?
Got $16.
Where?
eBay.
Oh shit! Because Samurai wanted 30 for it.
I searched, and I just was looking through, and I was looking through,
Did you
and
buy it?
Yeah, I bought it.
It's a dope cover, man.
Who did it?
Yeah. I don't know who did it, but it was just a cool looking cover. Like, let me look at it. I just dug it.
Yeah, you got me looking it up right now.
Because Matt showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome."
Well, because I mean, they had a Ramita cover, so Ramita did a cover for it, and then I think there's another cover where him and Junior did a cover.
It's Jerome Opina.
So,
yeah, Jerome Opena.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the 1 in 50.
What does it look like? Is it him? Oh, I see it. That is dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna buy one right now. That is sick.
So, I mean, this was a pretty like. I finally sat down. Now that we're talking about comics, I finally sat down and read Batman 50. You know what? I'm gonna give it to the New Times. Did not New Times, the New York Times. It's yes, it kind of spoiled it, but there was so much more to that book that, in essence, like the build up to that and everything that was going on, and all the different artists and the way it was his thoughts to her thoughts to the story going on behind back to
Well, it's the
Batman
letter that they wrote each other is what you're seeing over the variant covers.
and it's just awesome. Like, I mean, like that was, you know what, man? I don't know how anybody can shit on Tom King for how he's writing this book, because like this issue was fucking awesome. I mean, this is probably, I put it up in one of my top reads that I thoroughly enjoyed. Like I read it twice. You know what I mean?
My problem with it isn't that the issue; it's the fact that he came out and said this is going to be a 100-issue arc. Like this is the first 50 of 100 issues in the story
Yeah,
of
that's insane.
Catwoman and Batman.
That's where he killed it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you know, you're like, you just swallowed. Like, look how long it took. It felt like from when they announced what was going to happen, that was in Batman 50, how long it took them to actually get to that issue. It felt like an eternity. And then you have to sit back and go, oh, man, so we have another 50 issues to get a conclusion to this? And now
Yeah.
it feels like he's rehashing because he's going back into the Bane storyline. So it feels like he's going back to what, like second or third arc in his run, where Batman.
I like how he gave the head nod to the Brit, like that was his way of breaking the bat. I thought that was really cool. I mean, spoilers to everybody who didn't read it, but because that's the last page. But whatever.
And I love that James Gunn, of all fucking people, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, came out after Dan Slott pointed fingers at us, at this community for spoilers. James Gunn came to our defense and said, listen, if you write a good story and you make a good movie, spoilers won't fucking matter.
Exactly.
Yep.
If you make a good movie, spoilers aren't going to affect the movie, the good storytelling.
It's true, because if a couple good parts are spoiled, then you know, it's just like those movies where you finally watch it and you're like, fuck, all the good parts were in the commercials or in the trailers. He's right. If it's a good story, it truly doesn't spoil it because there's so much good around it. Like there's so much awesomeness. So I kind of see that. But you know what? On the same note, I really don't want any of it spoiled because I'm so excited to go see it. I don't want to, like, because if you know one chunk, then you're anticipating that chunk through the movie.
And then I like how Nick Spencer, the new writer of Spider-Man, came out and said, we're not going to release any spoilers. We're not going to make that mistake. If you want to know, we want our readers to pick up the book and be surprised as it happens. So we're not releasing any spoilers. He
said it was going to take 150 issues.
You find something out, it's gonna happen in the you're gonna figure it out when you pick up the book, which I like that too. But
it shouldn't be like that though.
I was just super stoked that James Gunn came out and said, you know what, honestly, it shouldn't matter because if the story is good enough, a spoiler won't affect it.
Yeah, that's the truth. Amen to that.
So what was your overall thoughts of Spider-Man, Kyle?
Like I said, I thought it was good. I thought it was refreshing. I said, you know what? I like Otley's art. It is going to be a little bit of an adjustment because, you know, but I think overall, I think it's going to be like anything else. I think after 4 or 5 issues, it's just you're going to be used to it. If it doesn't really do a whole lot of change, which I don't see it. It would be kind of weird for it to look like this in the first issue, then all of a sudden it looks way different the next issues. So yeah. I think it's just something that it's just going to be the way it is. We're going to get used to it. It's going to be fine. And and eventually I think we're going to come around and be like, you know what? I see it. Okay, I'm good. I'm good with it. But overall, I'm just happy to be reading Amazing Spider-Man again.
And it's cartoony to me in the sense that, like, when he shows like far away faces, like when Peter's web slinging away and you see She-Hulk and Black Cat fighting these swarms of bugs, their faces are all wonky and weird looking.
Yeah.
And it's very, very cartoony, and it reminds me a lot of like Japanese animation style and things like that, where their faces are all wonky or just two dots in a line from far away or whatever. They're not asymmetrical. They're all messed up and slanted. But goddamn, can he draw the shit out of Mary Jane?
Bro, oh my god, she looks fucking awesome. Like when you open up that first page and they're sitting there on top and he's like holding her. You're like,
yeah, like that's my problem with J. Scott Campbell is that all of his faces look like cats, and all the women look like cats to me. But goddamn, can Ryan Otley draw the shit out of Mary Jane?
Yeah, he's got that fucking like. I think he's had that one like in a book. Like I think he's got like his own sketchbook full of her that's on his shelf that like he's been waiting for this day.
But super excited for that. It was a really good first issue, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But
so I have one quick thing from a listener that he had a question for us.
Oh shit! Okay,
this is from Joe. So Joe's been he's been a long time listener.
What Joe? Oh, JoJo. Okay.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
He said he had a topic. He wanted to know what everybody thinks is the cheapest way to read comics that you're not that interested in and you're not collecting.
Torrent.
So he wants. Yeah, that's what I do. I torrent it. And
Sorry, I didn't mean to mess that up, but
no, it's
easy.
cool. That's what I torrent it, and then I have what's it called? Like it's called like Comic Reader.
Yep, CBR.
And it's cool because the way you torrent it and you download it, and then when you bring it up, the way it works is you click it and it flips the pages. So it gives you that, even though it's digital, it gives you that feel of flipping the pages.
And it's I guess we probably should suffice that by saying torrents can be illegal, but
don't download. Go to your local comic book store and buy it.
Well, I mean, I don't even torrent. I just look it up, Google search it, and search the PDF file for it, and it's easy enough to find.
Yeah, like I know a guy. He's got an app on his Android that the comics are just on there, and that's how he always read Walking Dead, because he just put the comics on there, and he just can read it for free. I don't remember what the app was, but there was no torrenting, there's no downloading. That's just something that what I mean. It was just on the app.
I went through a phase, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago when torrenting first started, and I realized that people were putting comics up there, and I probably downloaded every single. There wasn't a comic that wasn't printed that wasn't up there on torrent. I probably have 500 gigabytes or a terabyte full of every single comic ever printed up until 10 years ago. So it can get a little crazy, but if there's nothing like owning that book, that special book, but sometimes
sometimes you just don't want to, like for a lot of us, like I have Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 700, digital. I'm probably never going to have an Amazing Spider-Man 1 to probably, what I mean? I'm not going to have, so those are going to be the closest that I'm going to have to it, so that if I do want to go back and read those, I have the ability.
Yeah.
What about you, Jose, Mr. Quiet?
I didn't read it.
No, you're not even paying attention.
Yeah.
I didn't read it either.
You read all of them.
You know what? In this day and age, Google is your best friend.
The question was, what is the cheapest way to read a comic that you're not really that sure you're into?
Oh, listen to the podcast reviews of the comics.
That's what you do, Jose?
Yep.
Well, that's something I got to say real quick. I really, that's one of the things that I really liked that you guys did for a while is you guys, especially with Walking Dead, because I don't Wednesday Warrior it anymore. So a lot of the times I only hear what's going on in Walking Dead when Matt and Kyle, do their reviews on it. So that is definitely a way. There's a lot. This podcast does it every once in a while. And, yeah.
Yeah, I miss comic book reviews too. There's not, there's some sort of nostalgia in there about pissing Jose off and just having playing a safety dance.
Oh, it was so awesome. I'm just gonna play a video game.
Yeah,
I miss doing comic book reviews.
yeah.
It's tough though nowadays. It's tough.
Oh, it's just so busy. Like I finally have gotten around to reading the Bendis Man of Steel.
Is it any
And
good?
you know what? Because of that, I bought Superman #1 on Wednesday.
Huh.
Like, I mean, I really liked it. But I really like Bendis's writing. Like, like I'm like Matt. Matt won't go his feet. His dislike for Superman trumps reading Bendis writing it. But I thought I liked where he's going with it. I liked what it did, and you know what? I think if you were on the fence about picking it up, I think it's 6 issues before Superman 1. It's Man of Steel. It's worth picking up. I admit I only got like 4 issues in. I got 2 more to go, but I mean it's really good.
I'm not paying for it. You're not going to convince me.
I don't blame you. I liked it though. And it's kind of cool because I've really never been a Superman guy, so reading it, it's kind of new to me. Everybody knows a lot about Superman, but it's different. I liked it.
But
Bendis is a good writer, though.
Yeah, he is a good writer, but I'm not gonna read Superman. Fuck that. Fuck him.
I'm with you. I don't read
I'm not a
Superman
fan.
either. Unless he's in Justice League, and just doesn't do it for me.
I mean, Flash. Even though Matt thinks it's a dumpster fire, Flash this week was pretty good. They've made it now, so no Flash can time travel.
God.
It's been canceled out. There's nothing they can do now. For now,
How'd they do that?
So,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, it came out yesterday, so there's a spoiler. But so Zoom kind of tricked Wally and Barry. He kind of tricked them, and what happened is them tricking him and chasing him. They unlocked the Hyperforce.
There's other forces too, right? There's like a mage force or something like that for like magic and shit.
Yes. So what Zoom got him to do was unlock the Hyperforce. And with this, and then they figured it out, and so Wally released this power, and when he released this power, it sucked them all out, and it brought him back. It brought him back to Central City, and it brought him back to the timeline from the 25th century back to today. But doing that and unleashing that power, it made it so nobody like Cold can't travel back to the 25th century now, where he's actually from, and it totally cut off all time travel. So it's kind of cool. So it's set in Barry and Wally somewhere else, and it's set in Zoom with Kid Flash and Iris and everybody. So nobody knows that Zoom is actually in a Flash costume. So he's he's actually hanging out with them, and he's like, and they're talking to him like he's Barry. And so and now Wally and Barry they got like spit out like in like Iceland or somewhere cold, like they're Denver or something like that. I don't remember.
From Iceland to Denver.
Somewhere like that. Somewhere where there was snow. And they're running as fast as they can to get back because that's what's going on. And then I'm not going to release a spoiler. Like when that happened, it let somebody else out. I mean, I'm not going to spoil that part for you.
It's already out there. It's already way out there. So
yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a dumpster fire. Like I didn't rip it up. I didn't set it on fire like Matt thought I was going to.
I was busting your ball.
I think
just wanted to see you eat the book.
Right, I was so close.
I'll rip it up for less than that.
But I mean, I'm gonna stick to it, man. I think Flash is one of the better books that's being written right now. And with Matina doing the covers, it's like icing on the cake.
That's a good deal right there. I'll rip it up for less than that.
Right. And he's doing the Suicide Squad covers too, Matina.
Matina's almost like Delato for me right
Hmm.
now. Like they're those guys' hands are gonna fall apart. All the books that they're drawing, they're
Oh
just
man, I don't even know. They must. They're sitting in a boiler room right now.
right.
Like
Jose's having a stroke back there. Listen to him.
I'm
I
here.
thought he was just watching porn.
Or well sounds.
But so yeah, Joe, to answer your question, I guess we all just Google.
I mean, yeah. Or find an app.
I
Yeah.
Googled it 3 times
If you
today.
haven't- I wish I remembered, but I mean, it's been like 2 years since I talked to the guy about it. But that's what he said. He said, "Yeah, man, I just got this app and I read Walking Dead every month, and I don't have to download it. It's just on my phone, and I just get to keep up with it." And I'm like, man. And I remember I asked him, but I cared, but I didn't care. I think I was like, "Oh yeah, that app, yeah." Pretend like I knew or something. I don't know.
Like you gave a shit.
Yeah, unfortunately. And now I come around, I'm talking about it. And I'm like, oh fuck, I should have paid attention.
All right, Jose.
What's up?
Wake and up, rise and
Click-
shine, buddy.
Click out of porn, buddy.
What did you think of Ant-Man?
I liked it for the most part. There are some parts where the CGI was very obvious, and then there's some other parts where the story,
So you mean okay?
what? Go ahead.
So they have these team of people that do CGI, and you think once in a while they're like, "Hey, new guy, do this part real quick," and it's off or what?
It reminds me of the Matrix #2.
Like, why would they go through all that trouble and have all these people to have
I don't
certain
know.
scenes that don't do? You know what I mean?
I think
Yeah.
there's still some things that the human body looks funny trying to do, and no amount of CGI is gonna be able to correct.
You
I
guys see that?
agree.
Was it the same kind of things every time? That like, what was it that made it look funny?
I mean,
what
it's
was
like
going on?
split-second things. So it's like with the Ant-Man and Wasp going from big to small. There's like certain parts where
Where he had a huge cock and a small body.
Really, I
It-
thought
it-
that was
it
done
looks
flawlessly.
cartoony.
Like,
there are some parts, like not a lot, like let's say 5 out of like 100, where it looks cartoony.
So they went big to small 100 times in that movie.
No, I'm just saying.
they do it quite a bit, yeah.
I mean, I imagine they would. That's their thing.
Was it funny?
I
Some parts
enjoyed
were.
it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some jokes that were like really, really bad dad jokes.
Really Disney.
Yeah, Disney jokes.
I enjoyed it a lot. My problem is like, the last couple of Disney movies or last couple of Marvel movies, you had Black Panther and then you had Infinity War where they had two really strong villains. Like you got behind what's his face from Black Panther? I can't think, Killmonger. And then you felt for Thanos at times during Infinity War. You really didn't have that in Ant-Man and Wasp. It was
Ghost.
it was a very weak
The way they presented
villain.
Ghost was weird.
I think, and I have a theory here, and I don't know if I want to go into it because it might be kind of spoilery for people who haven't seen Ant-Man and Wasp.
I haven't seen it. Don't spoil shit.
But
No, I was joking. I don't care.
I think the way the X-Men come into the Marvel universe is going to have something to do with the quantum realm.
I thought they were talking about that's how they said that's how the Fantastic Four were coming back.
That could be too, but
Like that's what I'm reading on the internet is that like the Fantastic Four is what's come. Like Ant-Man, it was paving the way for Fantastic Four to come back.
well, when they rescue Hank Pym's wife, when they rescue the original Wasp, she comes out and she tells Hank Pym, she was like, it's the quantum zone. It changes you. It's more like an evolution. So they essentially, and they build this gate to try and like send a spaceship in there to try and find her. And I think in doing that, when they open the gate, I think they're going to say it has some kind of effect that can be felt, and it changes people's DNA to make a mutation, because there's been no speak of mutants. They've done everything they can to write off mutants and make sure the word mutant isn't anywhere in these Marvel films through
Maybe
Disney.
they'll be the X-Tastic Four.
So I think that's the quantum realm is going to play a lot into how mutation happens to where to explain the mutants, because even Pietro and Wanda, they weren't mutants. They got their powers because they were experimented on.
Yeah, it's cheesy.
Yeah, from the cube.
So,
They had to do it though, right?
well, if they wanted
Yeah.
Wanda in that, yeah. But I enjoyed it, but I think that's going to be a movie that you got to kind of put in the back of your mind that they're going to use that to launch the next phase of Marvel, especially with the merger. If that goes through and they get the rights for all these characters back and they start bringing them into the universe, I think Ant-Man and Wasp is going to be that movie that just slingshots everything.
Is the merger still on ice? It's not happening. It is happening. Is there any news on that?
They're supposed to vote on the 27th, I think it is, or 25th, or I know it's a couple weeks. They're supposed to vote. The Fox board is supposed to get together and vote on whether they want to accept Disney's bid. And then once they voted on the merger, then it's got to go through the government to see if it's a monopoly. But that might not even go through because AT&T and Time Warner just merged, and then now they're trying to overturn that merger. So who knows if it's actually ever going to go through. I still see it as, if it doesn't go through, Disney buys their properties back. I think that's essentially what's going to happen.
I really hope so, because I think it's a travesty that we're not seeing the X-Men in this world. I could care less about Fantastic Four, but the X-Men, I think is you got to have the X-Men in that whole Avengers world.
There's so much behind the X-Men too,
like Wolverine especially.
Yeah. It's a bummer that there's so many situations that can be just so much better. And not just that, I guess, I should take that back. I do care about the Fantastic Four, but not for the Fantastic Four, just for Silver Surfer and, Galactus and the Skrulls and, all the villains, Doctor Doom. I think those are probably some of the best characters in comics that you can build off of, do some really cool shit with, and it can't be done right now for some stupid reason. I don't know why they don't want to play together.
Yeah, I mean,
all the money that could be made.
Yep.
Yeah, this is actually a really slow news week because we're getting ready to gear up. What, next week is San Diego Comic-Con?
Oh yeah.
So all the big companies are keeping everything tight, and to release it at Comic-Con. But the one thing that did came out is it looks like Marvel is they're gonna put all their eggs in the Spider-Man basket, because it sounds like they're rebooting Spider-Gwen. And now she's gonna get a new code name of, like, I think it's like Shadow Spider or something like that.
Yeah, Spider Ghost, right?
Spider Ghost. There you go. Yeah. And then Octavius is getting his own book, Superior Octopus. So
I think that's a great character, but
in his Peter Parker clone body.
Yeah.
But that's all it's leaked out from Marvel. But we should be getting more Walking Dead news. Like, I know they're starting to release set photos. You're going to get the trailer for season 9 of The Walking Dead. So Kyle and I will tear that apart and dissect it and put it back together when it comes out. There's a lot of shit going on at Comic-Con this year. So sadly, we're not going to get any Avengers 4 sneak peeks, because according to the Russo brothers, they're just now getting into edit it. So unless they edit something quick as like a sneak peek for Comic-Con goers, I don't think you're gonna see that. Yeah, who really knows what's gonna happen? I just expect a lot of good stuff coming out of San Diego. There usually is. Jose will be there on Sunday, right, or Saturday, right?
Saturday. Yep.
So if you're there Saturday, look for the Chonga in the wild.
I will be wearing a John Ralphio shirt, only at the moon.
John Ralphio. Look out for Jose. Before we wrap it up, Jose, I got to get your opinion, and yours to you, Brian. What do you guys think about Billy D. Williams coming back to play Lando Calrissian in the next Star Wars movie?
I think it should have happened in the last one.
Yep.
You think
he should have been? Yeah, 100%. They should have had a little bit of him, like him finding out about Han dying or something.
Yeah.
There was
It's like,
rumors of
oh.
it. There was like a couple rumors of it at first, and then they didn't want to say anything, and then Billy D. Williams came out and said, I'm not in it. And there were still kind of some rumors that like maybe he might be lying, or he just doesn't want to talk about it.
No.
So I know I was looking forward to it. I think that character is one of the best characters ever created. I mean, and I really am bummed that they decided not to continue on with the other movies, just because I think that they could really do some damage with what's his name playing a young version of him. So if they had a Han and
you like Donald Glover?
Oh man, he fucking killed it. And if they had like a Han, Donald Glover, Chewbacca type of good cop bad cop type story, they could really play well off of that stuff. So
he's got a funny story about that. I guess when he landed the role of Lando Calrissian, Donald Glover said his mom called him and was like, "There's very few iconic black roles in Hollywood, and this is one of them. So you better not fuck it up, otherwise don't show your face around the house again."
That's cool.
Good to see that he did a good job with that.
Yeah.
Last story before we get out of here tonight.
Papa John?
What's up?
The Papa John?
One more.
No.
What
Papa
did you think?
John, no.
Yeah. Better ingredients, better pizza, more racism, Papa John.
The
Master
stupid
John?
thing is they waited 2 months to say something.
It's okay because Colonel Sanders said it, right?
it
But,
was in his vocabulary.
Yeah. Apparently, and this is kind of weird for this community. There's a new book with the relaunch of Vertigo. There's a new book coming out. And I don't know if you guys heard about this. What is it called? What about your Vertigo?
No, Vertigo.
Yeah, Vertigo.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. What's the name of the book? It's Border Town, I want to say. Let's see. Yeah, Border Town. The writer of Border Town is a Hispanic American, and apparently he's been receiving death threats. That someone's gonna at San Diego Comic-Con attack him.
Is that the same as the cartoon that was on Fox?
No. So what this is about a Arizona border town. The border's up against Mexico, and a portal opens up between the border that is connected to like monsters of Mexican folklore, and they start coming out.
I think that sounds kind of cool.
He said he woke up to death threats that said on Twitter, "We're not sending ICE to Comic-Con. We're sending exterminators." So that's kind of shitty that this community where we like to have everyone come to conventions and people to have a good time. And I mean, we had our own problems with that with Fat Punisher here. And it's kind of shitty just to see people go into that extent over something like this, especially in 2018. I guess
I think social media or whatever has just gotten it's too easy and it's to make those comments. And the problem is that you have to take everyone,
Everyone's offended too easy now.
Yeah, but when you make comments like that, it's kind of hard nowadays not to go, well, there's like a 1 in 100 chance that it might happen, It happens so often, where people just, I don't know. I have a feeling that, or have an hypothesis that we are the generations, the last couple generations just doesn't realize how final death is, and kind of sad. So
I think we're in a world right now where we have new school versus old school, and they're clashing. And the new school are ready to take over the reins. The younger generation, our generation, are ready to take over the reins, but the older generations aren't ready to let it go yet.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not focusing on change for the world or change for the better. They're focusing on greed and manipulation and how can they fatten their piggy bank and like that, because there's things that need to be done, and then they get into, like, I'm not getting political here, but they get into the House and then the Senate, and then things just stall because, well, we don't like this. It's one versus the other. There's not that new school way of thinking where we're stuck in the old school ways, and it's just time where old school releases to new school, or they find a happy medium and figure this shit out, because this whole situation is ridiculous, and now it's spilling over to a community where we try to preach acceptance and that everybody's welcome, and everybody can be into comic books. Comics are for everybody, and we practice and preach that at conventions, and we like to see everybody there. And yeah, we have gripes about, okay, this cosplay is obnoxious and stuff like that. But to go to the extent to send death threats to somebody because they created a comic book called Border Town and they're Hispanic American is a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it is people are they're looking for something to
Be
to
offended
not like
about?
to yeah. So without reading it truly, Border Town, Mexicans, border, Arizona. Oh, it's got to be bad. You know what I mean? I think people are, I don't think a lot of research goes into a lot of things either.
Well, so Border Town tells the story of a crack in the border between worlds that causes monsters of Mexican folklore to spill out into the tiny town of Devil's Fork, Arizona.
I think that sounds cool as shit.
If nothing else, for the reboot of Vertigo, this is going to get major publicity for this book. And this dude's just pumped to be like, he's like, I'm not going to let this hate get to me. He's like, I'm pumped just to be at San Diego Comic-Con with a physical copy of my book to sign, to give to fans. That's a great mentality to have, but it just sucks that, from the other end, you got to have people, keyboard warriors on the other end, who can hide on the internet writing this shit and making threats that don't need to be made.
Yeah.
So is the book already out, or is it just going to be out for the first time at?
It goes on sale September 5th, but I guess he's going to have some advanced copies at Comic-Con.
Hey, Jose, if you see him, grab me one, and I'll shoot you the money for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what days.
He won't, Brian. Don't even count on it.
I did for Andy.
What did you do for Andy?
I met Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers, and he wrote a comic, and I met him, and I got a 3-book signed from him, and I sent one to Andy.
Well, definitely, if you walk by that cat, if you walk by that cat, definitely grab one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll have to figure out if they're doing that Saturday and giving the comics or whatever.
I'm sure he'll have some.
I'm sure you'll have time in between running from artist to artist to get sketches to do something.
Well, real quick, what's your plan, Jose? Who do you plan on getting sketches from?
I don't know. I haven't even looked at the list.
Are you friends on Twitter with Jason Perrin, Brian?
No, I need to be.
No. Reach out to Perrin because he's going to be there all weekend.
How's he doing? Is he back in the States for full time or what?
Yeah, he's living in North Carolina now, apparently.
Wow.
So, but yeah, he's one to reach out to. So
yeah,
I'm sure
do that.
I'm sure.
He has his ways. He can probably finagle you a free copy.
Yeah,
he'll find. He has his ways of getting free stuff.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
Jose plays the stroke card.
Yeah, Jose's got the stroke card now.
I had a stroke. Can I get a free sketch?
Yeah, can I get a free sketch?
Well, have any of you guys looked at any of the exclusives that are going to be there? Is there anything cool action figure wise or anything crazy?
Not really.
I mean, back in the day when I was going, in the early 2000s, that was one of the funnest parts, and I think it's just gotten so overboard with exclusives that
the problem
they're shitty now.
Well, that not just that, but then they've changed the way they do it. So you had to enter a drawing well in advance. So even for when Kyle and I went those 2 years, it was to get a wristband for Scott Snyder or Jim Lee or anyone like that. You had to first come, first serve. You got to the booth, first thing you got your wristband, and then you showed up for their signing. Well, now you have to enter yourself into a raffle well in advance, and then they raffle off whether or not you're going to get that signature.
Way to ruin the fun.
So
right.
It's not a mad dash for first come first serve. Now it's you have to enter a raffle, so you're essentially waiting in line to see if you can get a ticket to wait in line.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not too broken up that I'm not going, because I don't want to spend all that money to get there and then what happens? You want to meet all these artists, you want to meet these writers, and then you know what you spend, because it costs a lot of money to go to San Diego Comic-Con, to walk through the front doors of it, and then not be able to get everything. I don't know.
I saw people charging anywhere from like $400 to $1,000 for a 4-day pass.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Stupid.
But if you see Stephen Grace, Jose, make sure to tell him that he's fabulous.
I will.
Make sure to tell him that we think he's fabulous.
Did you read Die Die Die, Matt?
I did read Die Die Die.
So what do you think about Gimple being part of it?
I don't see how he's part of it. I guess maybe he's just an idea man. But
So how do you think? Okay, so that goes to show that maybe Robert Kirkman is more into this Rick dying, leaving. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, now you're gonna open this worm. Oh my god.
well, I
was gonna at least wait until after we get the trailer next weekend before we open this wormhole.
I take it back.
No, go ahead. You already opened it.
I just think him being part of it. I think Kirkman's like because we were saying before Kirkman. I think he's got nothing to do with it. I don't think he would let this happen. I think Gimple being a part of this book shows that maybe our thinking was a little skewed.
What's Gimple doing? I mean, what is he listed as? Like
the
His name's on the front of
co-pilot.
the book.
He's in the interior. He is listed as the co-pilot. That's all it is. So it's writer Robert Kirkman, Scott M. Gimple, co-pilot. And then they've got two relatively unknown artists, colorists, and letterers.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. That just I think that goes to show that maybe it's more than what we think. Same thing. It's more behind the scenes. You know what I mean? That's just,
I don't know. Like, to me, I see where you're coming from, and we can get into a whole topic to make this go on all night. But I'm gonna say I don't know, because I think Walking Dead is the book that put Kirkman on the map. Yeah, people know about Battle Pope and people know about Invincible, but Walking Dead is the book that launched his career. And I think he plays that a little bit closer to the chest. I don't think them collaborating on a book is going to have anything to do with what's going to happen in The Walking Dead.
I just think it goes to show that I still think Kirkman is more of a decision maker than we think, than what we've had past conversations about.
And you could be right. You could absolutely be right, but I don't know.
Because before we were saying Kirkman wouldn't let this happen. He must not have any say because
I think a part of me has such disdain for Scott Gimple that I don't really care.
I don't care.
I think part of me just has such disdain that I just don't want to.
I understand that. I really understand that, because there's some people that I feel about like that, where you just like, I don't even want to know anything about them because you have that disdain. So I understand that. If he's ruining one of your favorite things, just like people hate Dan Slott for what he did. So that's what kind of made me surprised that Kirkman's still running with them.
Well, that's kind of my point. Is that's why I think he's got more in these decision things than we thought.
I honestly think that the picture will become more clear after the San Diego trailer. I think they're gonna throw you off, but I think we'll be able to. You and I are usually pretty good at dissecting that, so I think we'll be able to kind of break it down for everyone and be like, okay, this is where I think we're gonna go.
Whatever happens, Rick's only in 5 episodes.
Well, supposedly, that's not confirmed yet. And like I said last week, I still think that it was just that he went home because they're having a holiday. They had the 4th of July in the States, so he doesn't celebrate that. So he went home, and they weren't probably reconvening shooting until after San Diego Comic-Con. So he can go home for a couple weeks and spend it with his family and then come back to do the press for San Diego. And then I wouldn't be surprised if he turns back up on set for more episodes. You
I
are
think
you
if
are
I-
gonna finally get to see Maggie's baby though after fucking 2 seasons.
Hmm.
So
Then there is a time jump.
yeah, they've already confirmed it. It's a 2-year time jump.
Holy shit.
So
That's kind of cool.
yeah, it's a 2-year time jump. So she's gonna finally have her fucking baby.
It takes a 2-year time jump
Yeah,
to show that kid.
That goddamn 2-year gestation period for this fucking kid.
She'll be 22 months pregnant.
Yeah, right. She'll just be a fucking beach ball with arms and legs. She'll look like fucking
She'll look like
Violet
Violet.
Beauregard. Yeah.
She had a stroke.
Who? Violet Beauregard?
Yeah. And the family they have like a GoFundMe right now to help pay for the medical bills and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did Gene Wilder come from the grave and be like, "Come with me,
Oh,
and you'll see
Stroke with
a
me.
world of pure imagination."
That's why Jose's eyes swelled up. His stroke star came on.
All she sees is like that part in Thor Ragnarok where that song starts playing when he's going through the tunnel to meet the Grandmaster.
God, it's so funny. I love that scene.
But yes, so that I guess will do it for this week's episode, huh? I think that's pretty much all I've got. Do you guys have anything else?
I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of stuff next week.
Don't kill those toads.
Yeah,
Send him to Brian.
send the toads to Brian. But hey, I
Don't
want to
lick
thank
it.
yeah. I want to thank everyone who turned out to watch us on Facebook turned out to watch us on YouTube tonight. We definitely appreciate
Both of you.
that. Yeah, both of you. If you could do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Also head to iTunes and all of your other podcasting destinations and subscribe to the show. It's a good time. We usually try to have fun on this show. But yeah, so I guess that'll do it for this week's episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Jose.
I'm Brian.
And we will see you next time.
Adios.